Hi, it's Terry from Everything Homestead. Back here today, I'm going to show you what I have for growing strawberries where I live. It's that time of year again. Every spring, I have to wait till the snow and frost and everything is for the most part over with. And now I think is about that time to look at the extended forecast. Not supposed to freeze for the rest of this spring. So to start with, I'm going to tell you a little story about how I discovered that I'm really not that smart with growing anything. Is for about the first 10 years of living here, I thought you just put strawberries in the ground, water them once in a while, and you get some strawberries, and lots of them, because we put lots of plants in the ground. And I never really got much of a harvest off of them, and I never really put a whole lot of effort into it other than pulling some weeds and giving it some water. Then I actually took the time and looked up how you're supposed to grow these things, and I discovered that pretty easy to do, and I was doing it completely wrong. I didn't realize that the strawberry plants, their main lifespan is 2 to 3 years, and then they're pretty much, their production levels go down to next to nothing. And that was one of my big downfalls. I kept waiting and waiting and waiting year after year, and I wasn't going to ever have much for a crop. So I decided to really dig into it, and I put a little bit of research into it and went online, found a lot of good ideas, and what I have is what I decided to go with of all the research I did. Behind me is my strawberry section, my strawberry bed, and right now it's covered with some straw that I put on last fall because it gets so cold here in Wisconsin that it helps the plants survive a lot better in the cold temperatures if I have it covered throughout the whole winter. And right about now I can see some of the green leaves from the strawberry plants poking up, so I think it's time to pull that straw away from the plants and let them have a chance to grow. So you'll see what it looks like underneath there. They're not going to be these big vibrant plants underneath there. They're going to still kind of be in a little bit of a dormant stage, but once they get exposed to the sunlight, get a little bit of rain on them here soon in the next few days, they'll really perk up, turn nice and green. They'll be nice and bushy real soon. So I'll turn you around and I'll show you what I've got going here. First, I can apologize. I got a lot of chickens making some racket right next door here. I'll show you that in just a little bit, how close they are. Well, actually, they're right there. But just to show you what I have set up here, I have temporarily put these wooden stakes in to mark the rows for during when I put the straw down, so I remember where they're at, number one. With this system, I came up with, I have two different types of strawberries. I have the June bearing and the ever bearing. The June bearing is just like the name says, they produce in June, and ever bearing goes all summer long. I've had good luck with both, and I don't really have a favorite at this point. So what I did is I divided this section in two. I put the ever bearing on that far end and a June bearing on this end. And so what I do, I discovered since they only last 2 to 3 years of decent production, the concept that I went with is I planted this bed right here first. I put in approximately 12 plants, and this row is, it's about approximately 3 feet wide, maybe 12 feet long. I went with 3 feet wide because I could stand on each side and reach in all the way into there to pick the berries. So it gives it a good section of dirt to grow a lot of berries in. So what I do then, at the end of the summer going into fall, all the shoots come off of these things. And again, I apologize for the wind. It's been windy for 2 months here, I can't help it, but I took the shoots off of the plants, and they do spread and they fill in really well in there. I took the shoots off that plant in the fall, and I transplant them to the next row. And in this row, the strawberries that grow, you should probably pluck the blossoms off for the first year, and that helps establish the root system for the new strawberry plants that I just planted here. And here again, I put approximately 12 in there. You space them 12 to 18 inches apart, and it does fill in really well. You'd be surprised how fast this stuff spreads. And so then I'm still only taking off of this section, letting this section go for the first year without picking the strawberries off of it. And then at the end of that year, the next fall, I'll take the shoots off of this row and I'll transplant them over to the third row. And I'll put, again, approximately 12 you can go up to 14, 16 plants, however the spacing works. I found it a little over a foot apart, works really well. Just kind of stagger them in there. So then after this produces, or this one produces for a year, then that's my second year plot, third year plot, and then this is now the third year. So this section in here, I'm not gonna pick any berries off of. I'm just gonna take the blossoms off, let the plants, the root system take on really well. But at the end of this growing season, I'm gonna take the shoots off of this section and I'm gonna dig up all these. I'm gonna replant with the new shoots over here. And so for the most part, it's kind of a 3-year cycle. That way you've always got a fair amount of strawberries growing every year. You don't have to sit there and wait for the strawberries to mature to the point where they're ready to harvest. And so I did that for the everbearings and I did that for the June bearings both. So I got 2 sections, pretty much the same setup. There's my first bed on the outside. There's my next year's bed, my 3rd year bed, which I just did this last fall. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my rake and pull the straw away. This stuff insulates the strawberry plants very well. I did this last few years and the plants did very well underneath there. And so what I can do is I'll pull this stuff back, and it's going to seem like quite a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it back and set it into the rows, and it's going to be like a weed barrier in the rows in between there to help control the weeds. And then a little bit later on, once the plants kind of get established a little better, I'll get some new straw and I'll actually put some straw in amongst the plants themselves to help further keep the weeds under control. So I'm going to set this camera up and I'll get my rake going, and you'll see me pull the straw back off of the plants and into the rows. So the straw really doesn't get wasted by any means, and it actually has a good purpose all year round, and it eventually disintegrates or degrades into the soil, helps the soil, so keeps the moisture in really well too. So let me get you set up and I'm going to start raking. Now when I say I take the runners or the shoots off the plants to transplant them to the next one, there are so many runners, as they call them, that come off these plants. These beds will completely fill up real quick, and I am not depleting it at all. Actually, they should be thinned each season as well. And if you have someone you know that needs strawberry plants, you could probably give them as many as they want, because you'll have each row here. I could probably take 50 to 80 shoots off of here, and it would probably be the best thing for the rows to take that many out. And so rather than just take them all out, thinning it and just wasting them, give them to somebody, sell them to someone if you can. But you could provide free food for that tastes really good for anyone you want in your area, any friends, relatives, anyone that doesn't have a whole lot of resources in your community. Give them a pot of dirt, give them a couple of these plants, at least they'll have some strawberries. There you see the straw that I just raked back, and you notice that it sits pretty high. It's like really fluffed up in each row, but you walk on it a few times, it rains once or twice, that'll flatten right back down to about a couple inches in height. But it's so thick, it does work really well for controlling the weeds. So when you look at the strawberry plants that are underneath there, I mean, they don't look too fantastic right now, but that's how they normally look from coming out from underneath all that straw. And you can see down like here, there's a new shoot coming up all together there, a couple new ones. And that is a fine example of a weed, which I'll take care of a few of them later. So that's my oldest section of the 3. And I'll come over here. This is the second year. You see there's a couple of plants coming in there. And you come back here in another probably 2-3 weeks and this will just be all green with the plants spreading. And this is the section that I just planted this last fall from the previous ones. You can see you got a plant that's looking really good actually. These actually look better than the other ones. These are the ones I just planted. I just kind of staggered them around up through there. So that's how I do it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of this. You get the idea. If you have any comments or suggestions or ideas, feel free to put them in the comment section. Like, subscribe. I'll catch you later with the next thing we'll be doing around here, which could be just about anything. Maybe I'll give you a tour of my chicken coop. Maybe that's something I'll do next.